All right, thank you very much for being with us on 89.7 Contact FM. It is a new week, definitely new guests right here on One, and of course more great topics and discussions right here in the program. Remember, as we told you earlier on, the show is always aimed at talking about different issues that are affecting the society, plus of course trying to offer some possible solutions to some of these particular issues right here in the program. Definitely today we're going to be talking about the Media High Council and some of the changes that took place right here in this particular program. And of course my guest in studio is none other than Mr. Emmanuel Mugisha. He is the Director of Research and Media Development at the Media High Council. Welcome to One.
Thank you, Eugene, and I appreciate that I'm here to share my views about the Media Council today.
Super. So we understand that in 2013, just jumping into the issues of today, the Media High Council was relieved of the responsibilities of regulating the media and instead was given the responsibility of offering capacity building of the media and ensuring that it is a profession that carries professionalism and all that comes around with it. So if we can just quickly look at this transformation, almost 1 year now, carrying out this particular responsibility, how have things been?
Well, as you said, with the reforms that came within the media sector in Rwanda that brought along so many changes, including, of course, the laws that were being changed and the institutions being reviewed so that they capture the policy that was being revised by the government of Rwanda. The Media Council specifically was given the mandate to build the capacity of the media sector. So our immediate concern was to come up with a strategic plan. A plan, but which is strategic. How do you go about it? That's when we commissioned a study to undertake this plan, and it was constructed within the framework of the UNESCO. Whereby media capacity building or media development is founded on 3 pillars.
So who did this? Who did this strategic plan? Who was involved? You commissioned a consultants group.
But this consultants had to involve all the stakeholders, the media people, the development partners, the government, institutions, such that we have an inclusive document reflecting the whole sector, because media is beyond the media house and the journalists themselves. And this is why I say that it was founded on 3 pillars according to the UNESCO framework, which guided the construction of this strategic plan, looking at the business angle of the media, looking at the content creation angle of the media, and looking at the environment in which the media is working in.
So what were the immediate term things that came up in this commissioned study that the media needed in this area? Because already there were some teething problems that were being mentioned in terms of these issues of capacity building or lack of proper skills in this sector. We had those who were complaining and saying we don't have enough training institutions to be able to offer those in the field, this particular support or service. So looking at that study itself, what were the immediate things that came up? Because this was a study
in
commission.
fact, the immediate things, let us look at, for example, the content creation angle. The immediate thing was like we lack specialized journalists. You find that a journalist is into everything, and without specialization, the kind of quality and the quantity becomes a problem. So it was identified as a very big challenge.
So what you're saying, it is dangerous for journalists to do everything. They need to specialize.
Yeah, they need to specialize because we have so many areas in which a person can specialize in and tap maximally the opportunities in that area. But you find that people are scattered in everything. So it makes one's perfection in one area becoming a problem. So specialization was a very big and a key challenge. Of course, there comes with also other issues to do with the kind of education people are receiving from their universities and other training institutions, which does not relate with the industry. Because when you look at the media industry today, there is a lot of change happening.
Yes.
When you look at the ICT penetration and new changes brought by the digital revolution,
yes,
you find that the old way of
communicating and getting stories
has changed.
is changing. Mainstream media is facing some challenges from social media.
So you find that the market demand and what is being given out, there is no, the relationship is not, very good. So those were considered as some of the major challenges, and of course the usage of ICT in media, such that the means of delivery and communications are effective, and of course even so many other, issues to do with how journalists behave ethically. Those were also considered to be issues within the industry.
We'll talk about them, but let's look at that issue of specialization, because for me, I'm looking at it from a private media perspective, where issues of finances is not an easy thing, where you find a media house or a media owner wants to spend less on a person who is able to do various things, a person who's dynamic. So when your institution is there saying that it is not advisable to be diverse, just specialize so that you maximize on your productivity, what then do you tell such institutions?
Of course, it's a challenge, as you said, marrying the two, the business side and the need for diversity. It's really a challenge. And that's why the other pillar now comes in, the pillar of business issue. And now we found that again is a challenge, because most people in media do not know how to sell the media products and services. So that makes it difficult for people to earn from their own professional skills. That was a very big challenge. Like the one you're talking about, the specialization. I can assure you that the issue is not the money and how you can specialize in those various fields.
What's the issue?
The issue is how to tap into the opportunities that those specialized skills can give you. Let us take, for example, if you decide to specialize in agriculture reporting, there are so many opportunities out there. There are so many NGOs involved in agriculture. The ministries, people want to know much about agriculture. I highly doubt if one came up with a serious project regarding communication, regarding educating. As you remember, the cardinal mission of the media is to inform, educate, and entertain.
Yes.
So when you come through those, those doors and try to ensure that you educate the people, there's so many partners that you can come up with, and they can support your project, because everybody wants to use the media.
Yes, sometimes it looks easier said than done, because most of the time you go on the ground, and the argument would be then also offer the same training to these institutions that you're talking about, so that they also understand the need to use the media to be able to sell their messages. Because today, as it looks like it's one way. It's the media who or that needs to always go to those institutions for this kind of partnerships. But then also there's that element of also understanding that also these institutions need to understand the power of the media. So are you as well organizing sessions the same way you're doing for media houses with this institution?
Yeah, what you're saying is very correct, because the culture of communicating, I think, has been a problem, and again, it's because of our background as Rwanda.
What does that mean? Most people tell me that. What does that really mean, our background as Rwanda?
What it means when you talk about development, development touches all areas of people's, lifestyle, including even communication. Again, the private sector, which is the major buyer of the media, as it grows, as the media also learns to sell itself, then people begin working with the media so actively. So what I mean by that is, as people begin to understand the need to communicate, the government of Rwanda has even emphasized that communication is a priority, because it is one of the key elements of good governance. Because if you involve those that you're working for, there is that thing of participation, and communication is one of the means. So communication and involving those that you're working for is so important that when people begin to see the need for communication, they now involve the media as well. But the challenge is, even the media is part of that society. It has not known how to sell itself. Yeah, it hasn't been, that much aggressive to understand the techniques. How do I sell my products? They do advertise for other people, but it's highly possible to find a media house advertising itself. Yeah.
So
it's a challenge. But to answer your question on what we are doing to ensure that we remove that barrier.
Yes.
Yeah, we are recently we conducted media training for media managers. And we came up with a resolution to create a platform for media managers.
Okay.
And this platform is going to recommend ways of how we can bring on board all stakeholders, especially government and the private sector, especially the public relations officials.
To do what?
To dialogue. How can
on how they can
how can you work with the media? Because you need the media and the media needs you. How can we work together? How can we empower ourselves such that we access the opportunities that the media has and also access the resources that you can offer the media. So we are trying to see how we can come up with this dialogue, and it's going to be the first of its kind in the media industry. And I believe this will open up and it will break the silence to some extent.
Because at the end of the day, you see, there's that feeling that maybe we will be having a duplication of responsibilities or roles. If you look at your institution, which will be doing this, and then there is the Rwanda Journalists Association, then there is the Rwanda Media Council, which now regulates commission, which regulates self-regulation of the media. How then do you avoid that conflict of either stepping on each other's boundaries?
I think the boundaries are clear. When we talk of capacity building of the media sector, the Media Council is looking at how to empower the content creators, the business environment, and the ecosystem of the media in general. But when you look at the Rwanda Media Commission, it has this angle of ensuring ethical standards within the journalism profession. When you look at IRG, the Association of Journalists, they have their own mandate. It's an association, by the way. The two are the ones that I'm most concerned about because these are the ones that the law has been, emphasizing on, and the reforms have been emphasizing on. But the association as well is there to do the advocacy for the journalists. To some extent, it will be doing things like the trade unions do, not a trade union per se, but to advocate for their
rights,
because it's their umbrella. So you find that there are no conflicting roles and responsibilities. The demarcation is clear.
It is clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk money matters, because there are those who have this feeling that this is where the money is. The Media High Council, that's where the money is, in terms of if you want to carry out a training or you want to do a project in a media house, this is where the money is. Or they have this funding that comes or keeps pouring in there that we need to tap in as media houses. How true or how not true is that?
Well, to some extent, that's true. But to another extent, I would say it's not true, because we live on the budgets that we are given. When these budgets come, we distribute them according to priorities. We have an action plan. This action plan is adopted by the Board of Directors of the Media High Council, and of course supported by the State Treasury and other development partners.
So these priorities are based on what?
They are again based on those strategic documents that we developed, which were designed to guide our actions. So they are developed, they are debated upon. They're like, this one will deliver this. This one is a priority, so let us give our attention on this.
So you do this internally, or?
And again, basing on the resources that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, you cannot.
You're quick to say that. Why?
Yeah, because I know some people may be expecting much, and yet we cannot deliver much as they expect. We deliver according to the capacities that we have. So if we have X amount of resources, we go for those activities that fall within the capacities of those resources. But we keep on, of course, doing resource mobilization from different partners. Recently, we signed an MOU with UNESCO. We are signing another one with UNICEF and other development agencies, such that we keep on opening opportunities to have inflow of more capital that will help to realize our mandate.
So most of the time we've seen trainings and workshops. Is this the format? Is this the way to go? Is this what you will be doing in the long term?
Let me say that so some of these undertakings, the workshops, the trainings that we are doing, are the choice of the journalists.
So the journalists are the ones who said they want that.
Who say that?
Which platform did they use to say this?
We normally conduct validation workshops for these documents. So they decide, we want this because of X and Y reasons, our limited time, those reasons. But again, it goes hand in hand with available resources, because you cannot think of, sending people abroad to go for masters when you don't have those resources. So we do what is possible within the means that we have. But again, we include them in our discussions, such that we do something that will benefit them, and we follow up for results. Why did you conduct this? What were the expected results, and how are we measuring and monitoring the results?
Important that you bring that element in, because we need to also talk about that, because maybe your critics will say this is one of those opportunities that maybe the Media High Council has to swindle some money, say that we carried out a workshop and then maybe spent less and kept the rest on the side. So how do you evaluate and say this is the impact that we got out of this conference or this training workshop, and these are the results? How do you do that?
Yes, within the MHC we have an office in charge of monitoring and evaluation, again, as far as planning is concerned. So they have tools that they use as experts in this. So these tools do help in measuring the impact and evaluating. And
when you say tools, what comes in mind? Spanners, hammers. What exactly are these tools?
Experts have normally these languages that they use.
So let's break it down for our audience.
They come up with something like, say, a tool that will measure impact, that will monitor the impact and things of the sort. So most of these are just documents that, they will fill in and say X and Y was attained, this wasn't attained, we were reluctant here, we need more emphasis here, they should change like this. So it is not, they call them tools, but normally this is paperwork. This is paperwork that is done to measure and evaluate the successes or the failures these projects are bringing. Yeah.
So are we able to immediately talk about the recent workshop that was aimed at encouraging female journalists to participate in journalism that was held a few days ago? Are we able to say, all right, we expect that in 2 weeks or in the next quarter of the year, we are expecting that the number would be more?
More in terms of
the participation of ladies in journalism?
In fact, this workshop was more focused on entrepreneurship skills. And it was a result of the gender mainstreaming strategy that the MHC conducted with support from the UNDP. Gender mainstreaming is a cross-cutting issue.
Yes.
So with this gender mainstreaming strategy, which was, of course, basing its actions on the gender audit that was conducted again by the commission consultant, it found out that we have few managers who are female in the media houses, or even entrepreneurs, media owners within the media sector. So it was recommended that we should do something about it. So with our support, with the support from our stakeholder, our partner, UNDP, we decided that let us organize a workshop, a training session on these skills. Probably they don't see the opportunities out there. Let us understand what are the causes of this. So this is why we had, to conduct this 4 days workshop. We brought in different participants who came and spoke to these ladies, and they resolved from this meeting that we should waken up, we should awake, we should be awake.
So what do we expect in the short term?
Immediately they agreed that they're going to constitute a platform through which they can be, sharing their dreams and come up with strategies of how they can, become entrepreneurs. That is one was created, and we are looking how we can support it and bring it to another level.
But I think there was already one.
RFM
yes.
is an association.
Okay.
And
but why create other ones other than empowering this one that is already available?
Yeah, of course. It's
unless if they are not. Unless if they are dormant.
It's not competing with RFM because this one came in specifically as a result of this workshop. It's focusing on how to empower one another so they become entrepreneurs within the media sector. So it is like a platform through which they will be discussing their issues, that will be bringing their that will be linking them to their partners, to their people, to other people who can, bring change among themselves. But another interesting thing that they resolved is they want to create a cooperative that will be selling media services and products. That is another, recommendation that was arrived at following that workshop, and of course following
for female only.
I don't know if it will be female only, but they want to drive it. They want to pioneer it, and it was of course based on a talk that was presented to them by a delegate from Rwanda Cooperatives Agency that opened up their minds and their view of how cooperatives work, and they picked interest in this, and they saw opportunities in the media, and of course we brought in other successful media media owners
or personalities
who showed them the opportunities that are there. I think one of them, you've heard him, is a gentleman called Lucas. He owns AfriLife TV, and he shared great ideas.
But what do you think? Maybe you'd have brought a female who has made
also, it. Yeah, we had female, but the reason I'm talking about this gentleman is because he was interested in showing them opportunities that are within the media production process, but again, using modern tools that are cost effective, like having a production house that is fully fledged and which can provide, content that these cameras you see around us could deliver at a cost that is not even more than $2,000.
So follow up. How are we going to do follow up? Because most of the time we have great discussions, great talk, great plans. But then at the end of the day, after people leave these 4-day workshops, it's business as usual. Things go back to normal, and you don't see a proper implementation of those big talks and big decisions.
Well, that's good to ask, because follow up is something very important if you want to achieve results. Immediately they constituted a steering committee. Composed of 6 members and 1 staff from the Media Council to facilitate or to guide them to help whenever possible. And this meeting has met twice so far. And they are thinking of meeting with us and share with us their results or what they think should be taken to next step. So we are looking forward to meet them and advise them where possible. UN Women, which was also there at the workshop, is willing to intervene. They have these principles. One of them is, helping women how to market their products, how, to sell their services. So they're willing to, provide any assistance that they could offer to them. So you see, that's another opportunity that they're looking at.
Does this mean that all is well for the men in the industry?
Well, I can't say that all is well for the men in industry, but again, this came from this angle of the gender.
Okay.
Of the gender mainstream.
But normally gender is men and women.
Men and women. But
yes.
Again, the mere fact that we saw a gap of female media practitioners not having a serious or active hand in owning media houses, that was a gap.
Okay.
So we wanted to see how we can bridge that gap. But this doesn't mean that all is well with men. But again, this does not mean that we're doing nothing about their male counterparts.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about what.
For instance, the workshop we conducted in Huye regarding the media business planning and skills development. This was male and female combined, and surprisingly, this workshop opened up to most of the managers. And of course, you will find that most of the managers finding difficulties are these, managers, managing these small, let me call them small, but quote me right when I use small. You see, managing this media business. Some of them were not aware of the planning processes of a business, how to grow a business, how to nurture a business. You see, so when we organized such a workshop, and many of them were like, no, we should have, in-depth understanding of this knowledge.
So
because we've discovered that most of us have not been doing business. We've been into something different. So this was also another opportunity given to male, and which shows that not all is well with men.
Okay, indeed. So let's talk about the process of benefiting or getting assistance from the Media High Council. What usually are the immediate term things, or what can you do? What are within your means? What are the things within your areas of capability? What are you able to do? Maybe for those who are listening and they have a project or they have a media house that they feel needs your assistance. What are you able to do today?
Well, let me first remind that we are an enabling institution. We enable. In other words, we are providing the necessary skills. We are providing the necessary assistance. So our concern was, as of immediate concern, to do with skill sets. How do you build the skill sets that will empower our media? So when you talk of the skill sets, they are diverse. And we are also looking at how we can work with Workforce Development Authority to also look into the multimedia aspect, which has been dormant for some time within the media industry. That is also something we're looking at, especially to empower the youth who are talented and who can be creative, who can deliver content. You can see now we have so many televisions coming up.
Which is coming to, yes, exactly. That but is what I'll pick from as we finish. Because what is your concern? Because today we have many, not just TVs, even radios are popping up and coming up. But you said that earlier on your institution also is able to facilitate and help in capacity building in terms of content creation or content management. But today we have media houses that are just, for lack of a better word, copying and illegally even broadcasting content that is not right. What concerns do you have, or what fears do you have if things continue like this?
Of course, the fears are that we shall have a media that is not professional, and of course, this has something to do with quality and agachiro of our media houses and our media practitioners, which is not also good. So we are doing our level best to ensure that these people do things that are creative, that will increase the volume of the content. If need be, let us have more people involved within this industry that are not journalists, who can deliver, who can share content. Like, for instance, if you look at RB is willing to buy content from whoever is going to bring it, if it is creative and, relating well to the society. This is an opportunity that is out there. So we're looking at how we can empower the youth, the very people who are interested in this kind of business, such that they get skills and get involved in the content creation. Very soon we are establishing a facility that we called a digital resource center that will be providing the basic tools
for content creators. Okay.
And it shall be run on commercial lines, such that people don't see it as a free thing.
Okay.
So
you borrow, you bring back with interest.
With interest, you see. Those are the things that we are thinking about. But again, to be a training center, a training facility for some of these guys who can be having, the innovative and creative ideas that can, sell in the media industry. So we are also looking at those opportunities to integrate those content creators. And I think that will solve the issue of coping and
only time will tell. We'll be watching, and definitely we're hoping that all these things that we've talked about are going to be looked into on a very serious note.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, Director of Research and Media Development at the Media High Council. Thank you for being on One.
Thank you, Jen.
And that's it.
Contact FM.
Indeed, that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for those who have subscribed, have liked, or have left a comment on our YouTube page or YouTube channel. The hashtag, if you want to continue this discussion, is 101RW. Follow, and let's be able to be in touch at 101RW. Goodbye for now. I'm Eugene Anangwe, signing off.